True peace, everybody. This is Queepoo Noopooh, as you already know. Today is July 31st, Caucasian Christian year 2017, Noon Ethiopian year 55. So if you want to know a little bit about the Noon Ethiopian year and the Caucasian Christian year and what it means and how to calculate and stuff like that, you could open the Introduction to the Nature of Nature book 2 and start on page 7 and then read forward. Okay, so we are in week 15 in the NODIAC calendar, and if you'd like to purchase this calendar, you could purchase it at these links below. And I'll also put the links in the description, the information box, sorry. And yeah, so because we're on week 15, we are in the section of the heart on the NODIAC calendar. So I wanted to get a little bit into heart disease, the African race, laws of nature, things of that nature. So now we're going to begin. The number one cause of death within the African race is heart disease. So this is a really important topic that we need to discuss today. So I'm going to go into my notes. It says Africans have a much higher incidence of heart failure than other races and develops at younger ages. Heart disease is characterized by a narrowing of the arteries. Fatty deposits or plaques cling to the artery walls and can clog arteries, making it more likely that a blood clot will form. A heart attack occurs when a blood clot blocks one of the arteries of the heart. This prevents the flow of blood, cuts off the oxygen supply to the heart, and damages or kills the heart cells. Before age 50, Africans' heart failure rate is 20 times higher than that of whites. Some risk factors are high blood pressure, chronic kidney disease, obesity, and having low levels of good cholesterol. 3/4 of African Americans develop heart failure, have high blood pressure by age 40. So now I'm going to go into a few things that cause heart disease that people, or you see people doing on a daily basis. So I'm going to first start with smoking. And here it says smoking increases the risk of developing cardiovascular diseases, which includes coronary heart disease and stroke. And this also goes for secondhand smoking. The same thing applies. If you are around someone who is smoking, you are at risk for heart disease as well. It says smoking damages the lining of your arteries, leading to a buildup of fatty material, which narrows the artery. This can cause angina, a heart attack, or a stroke. The carbon monoxide in tobacco smoke reduces the amount of oxygen in your blood. This means your heart has to pump harder to supply the body with the oxygen it needs. The nicotine in cigarettes stimulates your body to produce adrenaline, which makes your heart beat faster and raises your blood pressure, making your heart work harder. Your blood is more likely to clot, which increases your risk of having a heart attack or stroke. Now I'm going to go into the laws dealing with drug use in the Introduction to the Nature of Nature book 2 by Afro Unu, and it's on page 161, number 5. It says never use drugs except for medical purposes as prescribed by a qualified physician the same way each time that conditions are the same. Using narcotic drugs as dope for pleasure and fun is lethal to mental, spiritual, and also physical health. And for these reasons and worse, they are menaces and destroyers of the morals, lives, and well-being of communities and societies. Using drugs like tobacco products, alcoholic beverages, plus caffeine, as in coffee, is also injurious to your health and a burden on your life and oftentimes the lives of others as a result of your involvement or death. Long-term heavy drinking can also cause heart disease. So now I'm going to go on my notes and I'm going to read a little article to you. Drinking can increase the risk of high blood pressure. Drinking excessive amounts of alcohol causes raised blood pressure, which is one of the most important risk factors for having a heart attack or a stroke. Increases in your blood pressure can also be caused by weight gain from excessive drinking. Heavy drinking weakens the heart muscle, which means the heart can't pump blood as efficiently. It is known as cardiomyopathy and can cause premature death, usually through heart failure. The heart may be enlarged. Another cause of heart disease is obesity, and this is really common within the African race as well. So I'm gonna read an article. Being obese can raise blood cholesterol and triglyceride levels. It can lower good cholesterol, and good cholesterol is linked with lower heart disease and stroke risk. It can also increase blood pressure, induce diabetes, and in some people, diabetes make other risk factors much worse. The danger of a heart attack is especially high for these people. Obesity increases the risk for heart disease and stroke, but it harms more than just the heart and blood vessel systems. It also a major cause of gallstones, osteoarthritis, and respiratory problems. So if you are obese, try to work out, try to eat healthier, and you will definitely see a difference in your body, and you can also lower your chance of getting heart disease or other diseases within the body due to fat buildup. And this one is very, 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 very important because we've all been there. Negative, toxic relationships can contribute to heart disease. Negative, toxic relationships, yes, they can contribute to heart disease. So now I'm going to read a little something that I found that I think that can help you if you are in a toxic relationship, if you know someone who's in one, or if you're not, this is just going to help you not get into a situation like that. So I'm going to start by reading this article. It says, here are some of the most common characteristics of toxic relationships. Constant mood swings experienced by both partners, frequent quarrels and squabbles, always trying to find who is right and who is wrong, fighting for the sake of fighting. Excessive jealousy, criticism, constant insults and envy, the need to control and know everything about the life of the other person, anxiety, depression, feeling of distrust, etc. Continued stress that results from such relationships has a negative effect on the overall health of an individual. It affects both mental and physiological health, damaging immune and endocrine systems as well as heart health. It says, here are some of the negative impacts of toxic relationships on cardiovascular health. High blood pressure, stress provoked by unhealthy relationships triggers the production of the stress hormone cortisol. Chronic stress results in elevated levels of cortisol, which over time promotes blood sugar imbalance, rapid heartbeat, obesity, diabetes, constrictions of blood vessels, and increased blood pressure. The combination of constricted blood vessels and high blood pressure can damage vessels and promote the formation of plaques, which eventually leads to a heart attack. So you being in a toxic relationship can give you a heart attack. It says it can also cause high blood cholesterol. Being in toxic relationships creates a lot of stress and depressive thoughts, as well as inhibits good sleep and raises the level of anxiety. All that can contribute to the formation of unhealthy eating habits. It is a known fact that what we eat affects the levels of cholesterol. So by choosing comfort foods, which is usually junk, fast food, like McDonald's, Burger King, ice cream, cookies, cakes, chips, all of that, to counterbalance the negativity of toxic relationships, we harm our bodies and thus promote the development of atherosclerosis. And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but it says Takotsubo cardiomyopathy or broken heart syndrome. It is characterized by the weakening of the left ventricle, which causes the shortness of breath and chest pain. It most often results from a severe physical or emotional stress. This condition is sometimes called stress-induced cardiomyopathy, and its symptoms can imitate those of a heart attack. Now I'm going to go into the Introduction to the Nature of Nature, book 2, page 161, law number 4. It says, avoid negative temptation by keeping away from it or departing from its presence the same way each time that conditions are the same. Negative temptation is a powerful and diabolical force. And the best way to keep from being trapped by it is to keep away from it, or if you suddenly find yourself in the presence of it, depart from it immediately. And it says this in the book. Otherwise, you might very well become a victim of it. Temptation is the opportunity to do something you should not do, or be attracted to a person or thing you should not be attracted to. To disobey the temptation commandment is to violate laws of nature. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. And we've all been there. But you do violate a natural law when you are staying in a negative situation that you know is negative for you. And if it's stressing your body out and your health and stuff like that, why would you want to stay in a toxic relationship like that? And if you are in a toxic relationship, or you're mentally aware of it, but maybe it's time to leave that, because you need to start worrying about your health, and you need to start worrying about you and what's best for you if the person that you're with isn't considering that. Now I'm going to go into the Introduction to the Nature of Nature, book 2, page 260, and it's law number 81 on love and hate. Love and hate are opposites in nature that can be helpful or harmful depending on how you use them. So use them wisely, the same way each time that conditions are the same. Basically and scientifically, love by definition and by nature is the positive emotions and attractions a person or thing has for a person or thing. And hate by definition and nature is the negative emotions and repulsions a person or thing has for a person or thing. There is but one kind, as given by the love definition of love, but 7 types of love, namely 1 mental, 2 spiritual, and 3 physical, and their combinations: 4 mental spiritual, 5 mental physical, 6 mental spiritual physical, and 7 spiritual physical. So I'm going to move a little bit forward on that law to keep this on topic. And within this law, it starts talking about how people view love, and they base it on Caucasian society and things like that. And also it talks about how, like, a few things that are done that can cause a person to be stressed or react a certain way, cause harm to others, or cause harm to themselves due to not understanding what love is and settling for a negative relationship. It says, listen to reason. In Caucasian society, particularly that in the United States of America, people are given the impression in movies, on television, and elsewhere that it is all right to pursue your emotional feeling called love, even though it might lead you to someone else's wife. This is a false impression, which is definitely wrong. A person must indeed learn to control his or her emotions and channel them in the right direction. To put it another way, do not try to illegally and immorally possess what legally and morally belongs to others. Lustful love with jealousy added is a monster, because it causes people to do iniquities, crimes, immoralities, and transgressions of the laws of nature, and have little or no remorse. The love for riches, negative power, lust, and other excessive pleasure is example of harmful love. And the love for justice, rightness, equality, reasonability, morality, laws of nature, etc. is an example of helpful love. And just to end that off, don't let yourself be forced into a relationship for things that are just not love. For example, whether it be money, whether it be just because you need the attention or the company or whatever the case may be. And that also goes into if a person does so much wrong to you and you keep forgiving them, you get natural backlashes for that. And that is another law in nature that you can also go into the introduction to the nature book 2 to look at, talking about mercy and forgiveness. And that's an example. If you sit around falling into this trap of temptation and this person is bad for you, you will get negative backlashes. And sometimes those negative backlashes for a person is their health, which may be, since we're on the topic of a heart attack or a stroke. They can be so stressed out from a toxic relationship that it'll make their body toxic, and it will cause them to get a heart attack or a stroke. And nobody wants that, just from staying in a relationship that you can walk away from. It may not be easy. I'm not going to sit here and be unrealistic, but when you have knowledge on something and you're accountable for it now, once you have this information and you continue to do the things that you are usually used to doing, you will get natural backlashes from it, and nobody wants that. So it's best, if you want to keep a healthy heart, then you need to treat it that way. You need to keep it healthy by staying out of toxic relationships and do not fall into this pit of temptation. So now I'm going to go into a few natural remedies that you can do to prevent or cure any blockage in your heart or the arteries and stuff like that. And that includes staying away from negative temptation, negative relationships. And that's not just a relationship like an intimate relationship with guy and male and female. It can also be a toxic relationship within your family, things like that. It's all like friends. If you have toxic friends, people that'll contribute to negative heart health and stuff like that, or stress you out, you don't want to make those people part of your life. And I really stay strong on that. So to begin, I'm going to go in my notes. The first remedy is garlic. It can regulate heart flow and treat high blood pressure. The hardening of arteries can be avoided by the intake of garlic. You can chew the cloves, then drink the water after, and you can do this every day. One person that I know that does this consistently is Tarnunet. Noopooh, shout out to you. You have definitely been on that. Next remedy is turmeric. So it says it contains curcumin, which aids in better heart health. It will avoid formation of plaque inside the arteries and will cure clotting. And you can take turmeric with warm milk, and I suggest non-dairy milk, and you can add it to your food. I usually just put turmeric in my food, usually in beans, like chickpeas. I usually put it, I put it in my spinach sometimes, and I also put it in my smoothies. It has no taste, but it has a lot of benefits. So you can absolutely make any kind of smoothie, and it'll be in there and you won't taste it. So it's really awesome. Cayenne pepper. It contains capsaicin, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, that will regulate the flow of blood and the phytochemicals will reduce the effect of heart disease and provide a healthy heart. You can mix cayenne pepper with hot water and drink. And it is also, if a person is having a heart attack, you can put cayenne pepper right underneath their tongue and it will slow the heart attack. So cayenne pepper is very beneficial when it comes to heart health. Next is fenugreek. Fenugreek seeds contain antioxidant properties that will help to clear the arteries. They also contain properties that help get rid of blood clotting issues, and it will reduce the level of fat and cholesterol in the body. It says soak some of the seeds in water, leave it overnight, then eat the seeds for breakfast. Green tea. Green tea cures heart disease and its symptoms. Green tea will not allow the accumulation of plaque in the arteries. It can also control blood sugar. Prepare and drink on a regular basis. Next is apple cider vinegar. I drink this, I stated this in my last video, I really make this a part of my, day-to-day. It says it lowers blood sugar levels, it lowers cholesterol, and reduces the risk of heart disease. It also reduces ginger. Daily consumption of ginger can reduce high blood pressure and heart disease. It has a rich source of antioxidants and has been reported to possess anti-inflammatory and anti-proliferative activities. Also, avoid using a lot of salt in your foods and switch to non-dairy products. It says pasteurized dairy causes mucus in the body and destroys good bacteria in the body. These dairy products contain dead bacteria, so that means all the dairy cheese, all the dairy yogurt, all the dairy milk, all the dairy, all of that, eggs, all of those things, and try to remove that from your diet. I have absolutely moved those things from my diet, and I feel good. You feel, I don't know, when I was eating and drinking dairy products, I was feeling more heavy and bloated in my stomach, so I didn't really like it. So I like this whole transition. It feels good. So that concludes this presentation. I really hope that this was very beneficial for you. A lot of these things will be helping me as well in my future, even the present, and things like that. And stay tuned for more of my videos. True Peace.